Coming up with this edition of Pinpoint Weather University, it has been a fiery start to severe weather season. This tornado caught on camera in Michigan. It's a deadly tornado ripping through the land around a frozen lake. Homes destroyed and lives lost. Families still trying to recover. Also in Illinois, another tornado caught on camera. A deadly tornado, very wide and strong. We're talking about what the Storm Prediction Center is doing to better reflect the intensity of these tornadoes and also the damaging wind gusts that come with severe storms. Plus, March has been coming in like a lamb, not a lion here in the Carolinas, but that doesn't mean that your garden should go up quite yet. We'll talk about when you might want to start growing your garden, but the one culprit that might prevent you from getting a more successful gardening season this year. Welcome into Pinpoint Weather University, my friends. I'm meteorologist Brandon Lawson here on Queen City News Plus. Always a big welcome to our YouTube viewers. And if you watch some of our Instagram reels on our Queen City News Instagram page, or maybe you're tapping in with me at WXBrandon9, always thankful for the support that you guys give to the show. Always talking weather and climate with you guys. And today we've got a jam-packed show, so we're going to get right into it. Severe weather season is coming in fiery hot. I just mentioned at the top of the show, but unfortunately, it's been a sad start to severe weather season. We've seen deadly tornadoes ripping through Michigan, Illinois, also down the deep south, too. This is a tornado that was caught on camera in Michigan, killing 4 there. The lake's still frozen, but look at the houses around the lake, destroyed. American flag still standing strong. This is drone footage showing what's left. It's a very sad scene there. That's a church also getting damaged. But again, you can see parts of the lake over to the left still frozen while homes around it aren't even standing. It's a sad scene. That was a massive tornado. And then you have this tornado that was caught on camera in Illinois. Another significant tornado outbreak happening towards Illinois. 2 people at least killed from this one. Again, this has been a crazy start to the season. And I want to mention the Storm Prediction Center. They make forecasts every single day covering severe weather, but they also look at other things too, like fire weather, and they even do like analysis. They'll issue what's called mesoscale discussions, and those mesoscale discussions essentially are giving us a better idea of what might be happening for severe weather on a given day, maybe like an hourly look ahead at maybe a tornado watch being issued or a severe thunderstorm watch. But the Storm Prediction Center is going to be changing the way they do their severe weather forecasts this season. And really, I think it's going to go on for the foreseeable future. They've been experimenting with it. I want to pop up their website for you. This is where all the Storm Prediction Center activity is. So you see it over here. This is a look at the Storm Prediction Center severe weather outlook for March 11th. That is the day we're recording this. You can see the red there. That's actually tornado watches that are ongoing up in the Ohio Valley. But again, this is March 11th here as we're recording this. But I want to point out the forecast here. So this looks at all the forecasts. We got day 1, day 2, and day 3. So the day 1 forecast, see it here. The Storm Prediction Center has a pretty large area over the eastern U.S. highlighted under a severe weather threat. But they also do it for day 2. Day 2, there's no severe weather threat, but they are forecasting thunderstorms for the Carolinas and up towards the Dakotas. So this also happens on day 3. And day 4 through 8, they issue early looks at severe weather. Not as detailed because it's far out, but the Storm Prediction Center does this throughout the year because severe weather can happen throughout the year across the country, although it is a little less common in the midst of the winter months. Now, I showed you this website because I just wanted to get you familiar with what I'm talking about. You know, we always show you this all the time on air here at Queen City News in the Pinpoint Weather Center. We're always talking about the Storm Prediction Center has a level 1 out of 5 risk or a level 3 out of 5 risk for severe storms today. And for the most part, I think many folks understand that. Most people tuning into this show, if you love this show enough, you're tuning in a lot, you enjoy weather, you're probably like, man, I know what this is. Just move on. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to talk about what they're changing this season when it comes down to severe weather. So let's go ahead and talk about it. The new severe weather outlooks for the Storm Prediction Center. What is staying the same? What's staying the same is what I just showed you. Those color-coded systems that are used to describe severe weather on a given day. The 5 levels of severe weather, the level 1, the level 2, the level 3, 4, and 5 risk of severe weather will still be in place for severe weather season. What's changing? The Storm Prediction Center is looking at a more detailed look at the maximum intensity of severe thunderstorms and the potential for tornadoes. So essentially, we're looking at if there's a tornado threat for a day, if there's a severe thunderstorm threat for a day, how strong could those severe storms get? How strong could those tornadoes get? And they're going to be using these hatched areas to describe that. So this is going to be a lot of information. I'm going to throw it at you, but I'm going to simplify it for you. On air, I only had 2 minutes to describe this. Here, I've got at least 10 to 15 minutes of the segment to let you know what's going on. So let's use some examples given to us by the Storm Prediction Center. So this is a look at the April 27th, 2011 tornado outbreak that happened in the Deep South. Now, this is just an example, but this is what happened on that day. You're looking at the level 1 through 5 risk for severe weather. A high risk, level 5 risk, over spots like Huntsville, Alabama, Birmingham, Alabama. As you're getting further north into Lexington, Kentucky, level 4 out of 5 risk, and towards the West Virginia area and the Ohio Valley, 3 out of 5 risk, and even Charlottesville at 3 out of 5 risk. You know this. You've seen this before. The color-coded system is going to continue. But what if the April 27th, 2011 probabilities of severe weather looked like this? So this right here is the Storm Prediction Center's tornado probability outlook for that day. We always have probabilities in regards to the percent chance of a tornado, or the percent chance of a damaging wind gust, the percent chance of hail. We've always had that from the Storm Prediction Center. But notice how you see these little dashed lines in there, the solid lines, the cross lines. That is a look at the intensity level of a potential tornado. So you see that big brown shade right there. I just want to focus on Pennsylvania. Let's go to Pennsylvania here. Go to Pennsylvania on the map. And you see it's under a brown shade. That's a 5% chance of a tornado on April 27, 2011. But you see that dashed line? That dashed line is the intensity level at what a tornado could reach in that area. So in Pennsylvania for this day, that means that if a tornado forms, the maximum intensity it could get in Pennsylvania is an EF2. Now, when you look down towards Birmingham, Alabama, where they've got kind of the cross line going on there, that is an intensity level 3. So tornadoes that form in that region, maximum intensity could be as high as an EF4 tornado. So that is going to be the new look that the Storm Prediction Center has when it comes to the probability of damaging wind gusts, the probability of tornadoes, and the probability of hail. They're going to have these new hatched line areas to describe just how intense a tornado could be or how intense damaging winds could be if they form in a certain area. So this is a look at the key for this: intensity level 1, intensity level 2, and intensity level 3. So tornado max intensity levels. If there's no hatched area at all, but there's a tornado possibility in a region, that means that it would be a weaker tornado if one were to form. Now, a level 1 intensity level for tornadoes means that the maximum intensity could be an EF2. A level 2 means the maximum intensity could be an EF3. And the intensity level 3 with the cross lines there, also referred to as SIG3, means that a tornado could reach a maximum intensity of an EF4. So, the Storm Prediction Center, I love what they're doing here. They've actually been experimenting with this for years. So they haven't actually used it publicly, but they've been including it in their forecast experimentally to figure out exactly how it would work. And it's been pretty good for them so far. So now they're pushing it out to the public. I know this sounds confusing, but it definitely helps us as meteorologists communicate the intensity level of a severe storm for your area, or maybe a tornado for your area. Also, this is going to be the same thing for damaging wind gusts too. Let me pull that up for you. So this is the damaging wind intensity levels. So it has the intensity level 1 through 3 again. Now, the dash line for intensity level 1 means that gusts could be up to 74 miles per hour from severe storms on that given day. Intensity level 2, or SIG 2, with the little solid lines there, means that a boat echo or a derecho is a possibility for that day, more high intense winds. And then intensity level 3, that is when we're talking about a high end derecho that's usually already ongoing. So that means you're talking about just extremely damaging straight line winds on that day. Now, if you have no hatched area or no intensity level, that just means that you're looking at general severe thunderstorm gusts for that day, gusts up to 58 miles per hour. That just means that you could see a severe thunderstorm. It's still a possibility, but the gusts would only get up to 58 miles per hour. But again, that is damaging wind gusts. Just keep that in mind. It still can cause damage to your homes. Just think of it as like gusts up to 60 miles per hour. It's essentially what we do. We always round that number up a bit. Now we're looking at hail. Hail also has intensity levels. Now, with hail, there's no intensity level 3. The intensity level 3 is not used for hail. But if there's no hatched area or no intensity level for hail, and there's hail possible for your area, that means that quarter size hail to golf ball size hail is a possibility, less than 2 inches in diameter. Level 1, that means tennis ball to baseball size hail, 2 to 3.5 inches in diameter. Level 2, softball and larger, greater than 3.5 inches in diameter. Now, for intensity level 3, again, it's not used for hail, but it is used for damaging wind gusts and also tornadoes. And each chart will have the same key. The dash lines, the cross lines for level 3, that will stay the same. So, based off of the changes I just showed you, here's a little recap for you. The main severe weather outlook with the color-coded system, the level 1 through 5 risk for severe storms, is staying the same. What's changing is we're looking at the more of the intensity of the severe storms for a given day. Just how strong are these severe storms going to get in this area, or how strong are the tornadoes going to get in this area? How big is the hail going to be in this certain area? Also, the projected tornado strength, again, wind speeds and hail sizes, that is all we're looking at here when it comes down to the intensity. I know that's a lot, but again, I do think it's a good change by the Storm Prediction Center. And I like that they have already been experimenting with this as well. It's not just something they're throwing at the public. They're like, okay, we're gonna try this out. We're gonna throw it at the public. They're experimenting with this, looked at how it went. It went well enough, and they were accurate enough to where they felt like releasing it to the public was safe to do. Now, here in the Pinpoint Weather Center, are you going to see us meteorologists showing you hatch-lined areas all the time? No, we're just not going to do that, because at the end of the day, I do think it's harder for maybe the average viewer to understand. But it will help us communicate that risk a little better, because again, we could go to the website and look at the severe weather threat ourselves. So again, I can go to the storm prediction site, and this is just looking at the severe risk for March 11th. And I can see the tornado threats myself, and I can see, like, over West Virginia, March 11th here, we've got this hatched area. That's the dashed line area. So there's a 5% chance of a tornado within 25 miles over West Virginia, which is pretty high for that area. I actually worked in West Virginia. It's pretty high for the March 11th forecast. But you see the dashed lines here. That means that, okay, if we do have tornadoes in that area, the maximum strength, we go back to our key here, so you can kind of look at what I'm looking at. The maximum strength for that would be an EF2 if we have that dashed line. So it's simple enough to understand, but on air, if I'm showing you a bunch of dashed lines, solid lines, and a bunch of colors, and I'm only showing you that slide for 15 seconds, your head's going to explode. But looking at it for like a minute there, it's easier to understand. But we can't communicate. All right, we got a chance for tornadoes today, but you're only looking at EF2 strength if one happens. I should say only looking at EF2 strength. That'd be massive for an area and cause extreme destruction. But again, it helps us communicate what the strength could be. If we don't have any hatched area, that means you're looking at weaker tornadoes. And it just gives us a better idea of how to communicate that to you all. Coming up next, March has been coming in like a lamb here in the Carolinas. I know you know the saying, March comes in like a lion, and as it's like a lamb, but that is not the case here in the Carolinas. It has been very, very warm around here. The second warmest start to March on record in Charlotte. We're going to talk about if that pattern is going to stick around. Coming up on the other side of Pinpoint Weather University, on the other side of the break, I should say. We'll be right back. Welcome back into Pinpoint Weather University. I am meteorologist Brandon Lawson here on Queen City News Plus. Thanks again for keeping it with us. We're talking about March now. It's been coming in very warm here in the Carolinas, and luckily, we haven't had really any severe storms or crazy weather to go along with that warm up. Usually, when you're warming things up and you get a little bit of humidity, we are talking about severe storms and more dangerous weather conditions, especially as you're getting towards early spring. But we haven't had that here in the Carolinas. It's going to change a little bit for March 12th. We'll have some showers and storms moving through, some gusty storms possibly. But I want to talk about just how historic this March has been. So when you look at the month of March in Charlotte, I went through, looked at the data here. So March came in like a lamb. The second warmest start to March here in the Queen City. I looked at the first 10 days of March. It is the second warmest first 10 days of March we've had on record. Now, it's just behind 1974, which we just broke a high temperature record for a given day from 1974. So that's meant we have been a little bit warmer, but not fully over the 10 days we averaged the temperature together. We've already had 2 record high temperatures over this month. Another record high is possible as we get into today, which is March 11th as we're recording this. So we are continuing to bake in the heat. Now, I want to get to something else. Does that mean that the garden should be coming out? Not in the slightest. Please, 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 please do not grow your tender plants yet. It happens every year. I had a friend of mine last year that he was growing some things and started in early March. Had a little warm up similar to this. And unfortunately, it didn't go too well when temperatures got below freezing again towards the mid to late ending of March last year. So let's talk about when you might want to start growing those plants. So looking at the average first or last freeze, I should say, in Charlotte, the average last freeze is March 28th. The latest freeze in Charlotte is May 2nd, set back in 1963. Do I think that we're going to have a May 2nd freeze this year? No. A matter of fact, freezes across the Carolinas are actually happening less. Our growing seasons are getting longer because of human-induced climate change. As temperatures continue to warm up and our overnight low temperatures get warmer, that means we have less freezing nights, and that also leads to a longer growing season, leads to more allergies as well. If you're an allergy sufferer, you might notice you're sniffling a lot more than what you might have 20 or 30 years ago. And that's because things are growing a lot more. And I want to just kind of prove to you just why you shouldn't grow. Looking at the temperature outlook for March 17th through the 23rd, what do you see on this map? I'll take it full screen for you. Seeing a lot of blue. And that is a sign that we're going to be seeing temperatures well below normal for this time of year. So temperatures have been feeling more like mid-June, but in some aspects between March 17th to March 21st, we could be feeling more like January. That's exactly right. Let me show you a little something I whipped up for our morning show earlier this week. We are here, March 11th. Your average high temperature is 63 degrees. Now, today's high, March 11th, is 87 degrees, which the average 87-degree temperature day starts on June 13th. So we're embracing June 13th kind of warmth here in early to mid-March. We're going to go backwards eventually. And when it comes down to spring, spring is a transition season. The transition season just means that we're going from colder air to warmer air. there's going to be some bumps in the road as we get there, right? There's going to be some ups and downs in the roller coaster before we get down to the end of the roller coaster ride. It's very similar with the fall season. The fall season, another transition season. That's where we're going from warmer air to colder air. We just saw it last year. Got a little cold during the months of fall, and then we got to Christmas when we got into winter, and we had the warmest Christmas on record near 80 degrees. There's always bumps in the road before we get towards the winter season when we come from fall. Same with coming from winter to summer. There's going to be bumps in the road before we get there, and that is essentially why you don't want to grow your plants quite yet, because temperatures will be likely getting below freezing in some parts of the Charlotte area again before March 28th, which again, March 28th is the average last freeze here in Charlotte. We've got one more thing to talk about here on Pinpoint Weather University. We'll talk about it after the break. I want to discuss just why this heat is concerning me for our drought that we're dealing with. We'll detail what the main culprit in the water cycle is to causing this drought to worsen. Details on that coming up next on Pinpoint Weather University. Welcome back into Pinpoint Weather University. I'm meteorologist Brandon Lawson. Thanks again for joining us here on Queen City News Plus or YouTube, wherever you're watching. I appreciate you guys. We got just a little bit more to talk about before we go. I want to talk about not only the aspect of saving your garden by not growing, but the thing that might keep us from really doing a lot of growing when we start the growing season anyway, and that's the drought. It's been very hot here lately. Temperatures obviously have started very warm during the month of March. Warmer air leads to drier soils, and it leads to less water in our bodies of water, like lakes, streams, and creeks. So let's talk about how that happens. So essentially, heat drives drought. We have evaporation in the water cycle. Evaporation is the most important part of the water cycle. It is what supplies 90% of our moisture here on Earth. And what is evaporation? Again, evaporation is when water is transferred to the atmosphere and it allows moisture to fill into the atmosphere. It leads to our rain, and it leads to healthy grass, healthy vegetation, healthy lakes. Sometimes we get too much evaporation, we get too much rain. But evaporation is important. So when you're dealing with hotter temperatures, you're dealing with thirstier air because warmer temperatures can actually take in more moisture. So Mother Nature in the atmosphere is like, okay, I'm warmer. I'm really thirsty. I want more water. So I'm going to produce more evaporation to get that water. I'm going to supply myself with more moisture, whether you have it or not. It's almost like you finish up working out at the gym, right? Or maybe, let me go back. Maybe you're like an elementary school kid, middle school kid. You finish up your gym and you have to get in line for the water fountain. Oh man, that was my least favorite part of school. Getting in line for the water fountain, seeing everybody hover over the water fountain and take up the water fountain for so long. But everybody wants to get as much water as they can because they're thirsty, right? We're tired, we're thirsty. We need water when we sweat it out. So essentially, Mother Nature's like, I'm getting hot. I need to get to that water fountain. I need to take as much water as I can, and I'm not going to have any regard for anybody else around me. That includes the soil. That includes the lakes, rivers, and streams. That includes our gardens. I'm going to get the water from wherever I can get it from because I need it. Mother Nature's selfish like that, but it's also a good thing with evaporation because we'll need rain eventually. But that's why I am worried about the drought getting worse in some aspects because warmer temperatures with very little rainfall, it's just going to allow for more evaporation. It's just going to dry us out more across much of the Queen City News viewing area. Again, the drought likely is going to be sticking around through the spring months. The USGS, in coordination with NOAA, they've been putting out outlooks for that, and it does look like we're not really going to be getting out of this drought anytime soon. Now, could the drought maybe lower a little bit before the end of spring? Sure, but we do need to get more into a wetter pattern. I just don't want to get into too much of a wetter pattern to where we start talking about flooding issues, because when you have dry ground and you get heavy downpours like we see during the spring months with thunderstorms and intense downbursts and heavy rain and stuff like that, that essentially can lead to more flooding issues like flash flooding, because dry ground can't really soak up the water that's hitting it very hard when it's heavy rain, and it just runs off into your creeks, rivers, and streams very quickly and can produce your flooding issues. This has been a pretty informative edition of Pinpoint Weather University. Honestly, it might have been my most informative teaching of Pinpoint Weather University here. Obviously, we'll have more discussions here. I'm going to be talking about pollen in a newer episode of Pinpoint Weather University soon. We're talking about how pollen is measured, how it's calculated for a given day, looking at the tools that are used and some of the spray chemicals that are used to figure out just how much pollen there is in the atmosphere. That's going to be coming up shortly. So we got a lot coming up here on Pinpoint Weather University for you. Always keeping you informed on weather and climate. Hopefully everybody's doing well. We're getting through the month of March. Cooling off, though, from the hot start that we had. Maybe we're going to be exiting March more like a lion versus entering like a lion like we should have, like the phrase says so. I'm meteorologist Brad Lawson. You're watching Queen City News Plus here on Pinpoint Weather University here. Thanks again for watching. Take care of yourself and each other as we navigate this earth together. Tap in with me at WXBrandon9 and on Queen City News Instagram page. And if you have any questions or suggestions for the show or any topics, please send them my way. Be safe.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.